Well, right now, crazy scenes are unfolding as Donald Trump is paying respects to the fallen soldiers in this conflict that he somehow did a complete 180 about. As we're going to be talking about this and his latest kind of bewildering statements about how this war is popular, as a lot of other people believe it's a war to spur on the Great Reset. Is that really what's going on here? From a strategic point of view, it does make a lot more sense looking at this kind of conspiratorial point of view. That does add up. As of course now there's very significant questions about the Pentagon's budget, the NDAA, and the official joining with the foreign government of our national defense. How will that play out for the next few weeks and months here? Well, we're going to be talking about that as well as what's really going on. If you appreciate that, subscribe, click the notification button. We greatly appreciate all the time that you guys spend with us. Now, of course, tragic scenes, Donald Trump on the tarmac as U.S. soldiers in coffins are brought into vans. As a lot of this, I think, could have been avoided. I think should have been avoided. I think we should have done everything in our willpower to use political capital, negotiations, leveraging diplomacy, as of course war is a failure of the, quote, art of the deal, as Donald Trump now is talking about how he will be bombing power plants and bridges every time Iran attacks the Strait of Hormuz, as of course it looks like we're bombing for a solution, which is a very similar policy that the Bush-era neoconservatives that are now cheerleading Donald Trump have done in Iraq. Didn't really work. It didn't work in Afghanistan either. It failed very viciously in Libya. Syria, also another failed state, refugee crises, just spending all of our money on the military-industrial complex. And now Donald Trump is saying, yeah, running it back is me running it back when I promised not to do so. It's very popular. People love this. People love more money being spent on the military-industrial complex that, of course, hasn't gone through a Deutsche audit or audit at all, that for a long time has been accused of creating a lot of disservices, especially with what Halliburton did to the troops in Iraq. My goodness, look at those horrific stories of just the huge amounts of tax dollars that were poured into a lot of these private contractors that screwed over U.S. soldiers. As, of course, a lot of people believe that there's a lot of corruption, a lot of money changing hands, and those concerns are going to be paved over with Donald Trump saying, yeah, it's going to be a $1.5 trillion military budget, and we need additional money, and we're running out of money. But guess what? Affordability crisis that happened, don't worry about it, because Iran can't have a nuke. What? Now he's saying this, which is bewildering a lot of people.
As we go to honor these soldiers, do you have an update on the investigation as to how they were killed in Jordan?
No, they're doing that. That'll be released.
There was a report
you know what?
that it was Iran targeting barracks.
I don't know. Well, they're going to pay a big price. They're being decimated.
Is that report inaccurate?
We keep hearing that from, like, Iran, their whole military's done, and yet they're fighting, right? That's the kind of either propaganda or miscommunication, but there's so much different type of statements that Trump has made here that haven't been consistent, right? There's a lot of flip-flopping. The messaging has been off here from the very beginning. It's like, this doesn't make any sense at all. You told us 2 to 4 weeks, 4 to 8 weeks. We're close to month 5.
Yeah, please.
Sir, what do you say to families of these fallen soldiers when Americans are wrongly against this war? How do you ask them?
Well, Americans aren't against the war.
That is not true. If you look at all the polling, even among MAGA supporters, even among Donald Trump supporters, they are not happy with what's happening right now, because Donald Trump ran on a campaign where he promised that he would not be in the Middle East fighting other countries' wars. We'll play that clip in a little bit, but Trump here, again, he either is just lying or he has some of the worst advisors in the world that are telling him, people love this war. It's popular. It's not. It's not. It's not because the price of everything's going up.
A poll just came out. Americans don't want high gasoline prices, but they're not against the war. That
What caused the high gasoline prices? This Iran war.
just came out loud and clear in a poll.
What is
Nobody wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon.
Most Americans don't care. If you give the option to the American people, like, hey, you want to beat up Iran for Bibi, or do you want cheap, readily available energy and a booming economy? Vast majority of Americans are like, I prefer the booming economy. I don't care to do Bibi's fighting. Why are we doing Bibi's fighting?
You want Iran to have a nuclear weapon? You think it's good? Go ahead.
That's changing the goalpost, and something that a lot of people believed wasn't even going to happen here.
what is your will speech to the families? What will you say to them today?
All I'm going to say is we love you, we love your child, and that's what they are to them. They're their children. There's no games, no nothing. That's their child. And all you can do is throw out your heart. Thank you. Thank you very much.
What's the point in negotiating?
Throw out your heart. What? Again, polling is very consistent with a base that's becoming even smaller and smaller because of these endeavors. Before getting into that and this kind of larger conversation about the kind of pillaging of the American economy and the Pentagon getting their pound of flesh, before getting into that and a lot more, we're not supported by Bibi, we're not supported by Qatar, we're supported by my own entrepreneurial initiatives on wearechange.shop. It's not easy to run a business these days, especially with everything going up in price, but our prices have remained consistent, and they're probably going to be going up soon because the cost of everything is just going up astronomically. I apologize, but get the supplements while they still are at the cost that they are now, because again, everything is just becoming more expensive. Our best-selling product is our creatine. Why? Because it comes from Germany. It comes from Pure. We tell you where it comes from. If you know the business, you know that there's a lot of fake creatine out there, and you got to be super careful because there's a lot of people selling fake stuff that's not really creatine. It's contaminated. Ours is legit. We tell you exactly where it's coming from. It's verified, lab tested, proven from the best source possible. I talk to medical professionals in the field that were on Joe Rogan's podcast. All right. I talked to them and I sat down with them. I'm like, listen, I want to make sure I have the best product in the game so my audience actually gets something good. I don't want to sell crap just to make money. I want to make sure. And sometimes, again, we you know, again, the cost of doing business is just crazy. As creatine is the most researched performance supplement in existence. It's not just for bodybuilders. It's for cognitive health. It is for women's biological health, as of course it is tested, it is safe, it is effective, and it is awesome. Just make sure you're getting the pure source of it, as of course lots of the gummies out there are not third-party tested. When they are, they're like, oh yeah, they have no creatine in it. As of course I saw this video, Dr. Jeremy London, who again, no association with us or our products, just released this video on Instagram talking about creatine.
Is one of the most widely studied supplements and safest ones on the market. It is not a steroid. Creatine occurs naturally in our bodies, and you can get it from dietary sources like red meat, poultry, and fish. Essentially, what creatine does is it increases the energy production in our cells, which increases strength and increases muscle growth. In addition, it enhances endurance and recovery. There's been a trend in some studies that there's been improvement in cognitive function and maybe some protection from neurodegenerative diseases. Now, the formulation you want is creatine monohydrate, and the dose is 5 milligrams.
That's what we sell, right? Lots of people sell some other weird stuff. Again, wearechange.shop. Get it while supplies last. Again, it's been difficult to even get this product, but again, wearechange.shop. Anyway, Independent has this article. MAGA support for Trump's Iran war plummets. Polls find maximum level of frustration. Why are people frustrated? Because this was what Trump was campaigning on.
You see, Lindsey Graham just said of your remarks that you made in the Oval Office that if you keep talking like that, quote, this will be a disaster worse than Obama's decision to leave Iraq.
No, Lindsey Graham would like to stay in the Middle East for the next 1,000 years with thousands of soldiers and fighting other people's wars. I want to get out of the Middle East.
Now, he has gotten us into the Middle East, as Donald Trump Jr. a couple months ago posted this. Remember when they said Trump would get us into a full-blown war with Iran? Times like these should make us all realize how lucky we are to have Trump, his strength, and his resolve. As he got community noted and says, and the community note now reads, Trump got us into a war with Iran. He did, right? We launched the offensive strikes that started this conflict, as of course the Washington Post poll highlights how many people approve, disapprove. The handling of this conflict is, of course, it doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't protect us. It doesn't protect our national security interests. It doesn't help our hegemony. It doesn't help the petrodollar. It doesn't help our alliances. Doesn't help the American people. Hinders economic recovery, especially with failed Biden policies. There's a lot of weird things happening right now, especially with the NDAA, with shifting alliances, as President Trump 15 hours ago just approved a nuclear agreement with Saudi Arabia that would help them enrich uranium. Saudi Arabia, the main chief rival against Iran in the region. You think this is going to make Iran not want to enrich their uranium right now? This move only is going to make them do that more, since, of course, Saudi Arabia represents the Sunni faction, Iran represents the Shia factions of this kind of sectarian violence that has been happening, growing, and unfolding, with tensions rising in the Middle East, with what many people describe as a clash of civilizations. Why are we doing these policies, as right now there's serious questions about the Pentagon and its budget that, according to a lot of sources, they're running out of money. The Pentagon was allocated $1 trillion. It's like, and then now there's reports that they've spent most of those funds and that those funds are, quote, drying up. Washington Post. The Pentagon, sinking billions into Iran, is quickly running short on cash. With some funds set to dry up within weeks, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth pressed lawmakers to address the increasingly urgent shortfall by demanding more money from the American taxpayer. As now, the Telegraph is also reporting that the Pentagon is allegedly also hiding severe U.S. missile shortages. Zelensky confirmed this a couple weeks ago, which wasn't really advantageous or strategic, right? But it's pretty clear here that we are using a lot of Patriot, Tomahawk, jams, and other advanced missile systems that are extremely expensive, that take raw earth minerals from China, that China is holding on to replenish, as a lot of people are talking about how it's going to take many years to replenish our stockpile. And we're spending all of it, which leaves us in a very vulnerable situation, especially if there were further escalations between China and Russia that now see potentially an opportunity in the window to go after the hegemonic American power, especially if they are lacking significant munitions, as the Pentagon has not been able to pass an audit. Why? Because there's a lot of corruption. There's also a lot of secret projects. Now, with them not being able to pass a budget, how are we supposed to just funnel money into them when they can't even tell us exactly what they're doing with the money? Drudge report. The Pentagon is quickly running short on cash, and the government's like, okay, yeah, we're going to cut social services, and we're going to take it and give it to the Pentagon, and then we're going to tax you guys more, and then we're going to indebt this country more. Not what I signed up for. Not what I voted for, as of course Donald Trump promised to do the exact opposite of this. Catherine Austin Fitts came out on Twitter today. She says, please note that the DoD has not produced audited financial statements yet, since required by law in the mid-1990s, and was instrumental in the adaptation of FAB 56, which allows the U.S. government, including the DoD, to keep secret books. Combined with national security and classification laws, this includes the large banks and contractors who have significant relationships with the DoD in the war. So if you are in the large cap stock market, please understand that their disclosure comes with serious questions regarding accuracy. Yeah. As Alex Jones came out and connected how this is going to lead us towards a collapse. And that's one of the things that I warned. I was like, listen, if you want to propel the Great Reset, which, by the way, happened under Trump's first administration with Koof and the lockdowns, big question mark there, right? You launch this war. If you want to crash the economy, you launch this war. As some people are saying, maybe all of this is deliberate. Maybe Trump understands the crash is coming. He's trying to spur it on so he could create the new kind of system after the crash happens, which some people say is inevitable. If you look at it from that standpoint, it's like, okay, that's one way to go about it, but it's going to be tragic. It's going to be absolutely horrendous, especially with a lot of people being financially obliterated. As Alex Jones says, the world has been positioned for global collapse. And it looks like this Iran war is accelerating it. And
Israel, we have no interest in. Let's go to
if you're trying to accelerate it, that's exactly what's kind of happening here. Here's Alex Jones.
one of the earliest James Bond movies written by the spy chief Ian Fleming, where they explain how all this works. And there's different players at different levels that stand to gain from this. BlackRock controls 87% of world assets. That says they want to bankrupt the world, put social credit score as the savior to control your behavior. These are all
global currency. Oh, the dollar failed. Don't worry, we got a new central bank digital currency that's going to be connected with the flock systems to make sure you don't jaywalk. You jaywalk, you're going to take away your social currency. You offend someone online, we're going to take away your social currency. We're creating a dragnet surveillance system that's giving the Democrats ultimate power over everyone when they come into power, as of course they have abused this tech for political purposes. Trump is only reinforcing their infrastructure and making it that much more dangerous. That's another aspect of all of this that Trump is doing, building up the surveillance state, the national ID that he passed. What the hell?
quotes with a global UN, Bill Gates, Chinese, communist designed world ID that he announced again last week, been ready for 10 years, and the central bank digital currency. They want the recovery to fail here and all the nations to be hurt by it, because then they can loan unlimited money to people to put us deeper in debt, to control our behaviors and make us indentured domesticated servants. For people that don't understand how 144 days into this is a disaster and how it's killing the recovery and how the U.S. was on the verge of bankruptcy and we needed Trump's plan to get out of it, or BlackRock.
Yep, Trump's plan was make energy affordable, release the valves of energy, energy abundant, available, cheaper, means everything else becomes cheaper in order to recover the economy. Trump's indebting this country more than ever. Trump's doing the exact opposite of that. It's limited. Our strategic oil reserves are very low right now. Very dangerous situation.
BlackRock and the big private central banks that own the Federal Reserve, we're going to lose our credit rating. It's already been downgraded. And then when we lose the dollar as the world reserve currency, the United States will be in an endless depression of biblical proportions and literal hell on earth, which not just America, the world has been positioned for the global collapse. And then the UN and BlackRock come in with the global central bank digital currency, global social credit score, universal basic income, unified ledger where everything you own, your house, your car, all of it's put in one AI-controlled ledger, and you don't own it. Like Klaus Schwab said years ago, you'll own nothing and be happy.
Yep. Listen, it's really crazy what's happening right now. As of course, it looks like there's a full-on takeover of the government. How else do you explain what's happening right now other than the wolves are in the henhouse, right? NDAA Section 219, which Steve Bannon described as the treason bill, which officially joins the BB defense tech framework in place with the American framework officially conjoining together. Passed. Right? This is what Bannon had to say, who still has to answer some questions about Epstein.
We're voting on a bill. We'll get more into this later. We're voting on a bill to actually integrate the militaries of Israel in the United States. I know they say, no, we took out one word, so it doesn't mean that. It totally means that.
As Catherine Austin Fitz says, you know those flock and Axon cameras in your town? How do you feel about BB's military having access to them and training your local police and sheriff how to do to you and your family and property what has been done in places like Gaza? Thomas Massey has been speaking out against this, saying, while Americans are focused on other things, like how to make ends meet in the face of rapidly rising cost of living, tomorrow the House will vote to merge our military technology and supply chains with BB's. Our founders would be appalled at what Congress is doing now. Absolutely. Dennis Kucinich came out. Catherine Austin Fitz retweeted him saying, critical intelligence for every American. This is the direct result of allowing $20 trillion disappearing from the Pentagon to go unaddressed. Crimes that pay is crime that stays. Kucinich was the congressman who tried to highlight and stop the money disappearing from the DOD when he was still in the House. As of course, now they want more money. Pass the audit first. If you agree with that, share this video. This is a lose-lose situation. It's absolutely wild. Best thing you could do, take care of yourself. Rough times are ahead. The best thing you're going to want to do is make sure you have at least your health. WeAreChange.shop. Check it out. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more. All here exclusively on youtube.com/WeAreChange.